Hey, what is up, guys? I am making this video in regards to a number of inbound requests I get about how to get involved in esports with a team. So I'm making this video to address some of those questions. Hopefully some of you will find this helpful. I'll talk a little bit about how I got involved and some of my opinions on certain things. So with that being said, if you want to work in esports for a team, there's basically two ways to do it. You are either a player or you are on the business side of things, and that the business side has a few different compartments. But if you are attempting to be a professional esports player, I wouldn't know exactly how you do that from the ground up, but I'd imagine that it starts with, first of all, being really good at whatever game you are playing. So the game that I'm most familiar with is Rainbow Six. So if I were attempting to be a professional Rainbow Six player, the first thing I would do is get to or near the highest level of ranked play inside the game. The next thing I would do is I would start competing wherever possible in Go4s, which is Ubisoft's or ESL's internal competition deal. It's free to enter. I'll start competing in those, and then I'll start networking quite a bit, being on Twitter, getting involved in the community, because there's only, in North America, there's only 40 professional players. So even if you are this amazing player, it's still really hard to get into that top 40 out of what? There's probably like 15 or 20 million players in the United States. So it's very difficult. You're definitely going to have to network and do some other things outside of just being good at the game to make it. So that's the player side. I know a heck of a lot more about the business side of things. So what I'll say is, for the vast majority of people wanting to get into esports, the fact of the matter is that there aren't enough teams that can actually support a proper salary for what you would consider regular business positions. The industry just isn't quite there yet. It's not like you are applying for other jobs at Fortune 500 companies or Fortune 5,000 companies where there's thousands of these potential companies that you can go and work for and do sales and do marketing and do all of these things. So keep that in mind right off the bat. There just aren't that many teams that are actually going to be able to provide any salary, much less a full-time salary. So with that being said, I think if esports is truly your passion and it's something that you are wanting to do, I would say the overarching thing to focus on is how can you unequivocally deliver value for the organization that you want to work for. That's a very round and vague question. However, that is the underlying truth of it. And I'll give you an example. So our general manager, his name is Austin. He's been with us since day one. The number of hats that he's had to wear, I can't even count. I mean, he's had to do editing. He's had to do some social media stuff. He's had to do player management. He's had to do finance stuff. He's had to do sponsor negotiations. Literally, he's had to do so many things. So you've got to be able to figure out how to drive value. And in Austin's case, for full transparency, for the first, I don't know, probably 9 months, he didn't get paid a dime. You know, he's a young kid, so he's living with his parents. So it's not like it was, he was out on the street starving, and he also had a part-time job. But, he really grinded for it. And then, kind of at the beginning of 2019, he got on a small stipend. And now he's making pretty good money in esports. He's done so many things for us that we really had no choice but to start paying him and start paying him pretty well. So I know that's kind of a vague thing to say and talk about, but it's really it's really the truth. So what are the things that provide value to esports organizations? The first one is going to be sales. If you can come into an organization and you can close sponsorship sales, not only will you get just any job in esports, but you can likely get a really, really, really good job. This isn't unique to esports specifically, and basically any industry. Stud salesmen are very hireable, and everybody likes to have good salesmen. So that's not unique to esports, but right off the bat, if you can do that, you will never have a problem finding a job, because that is for the most part where esports organizations are driving revenue for themselves. After that, things get quite a lot more dicey, in the sense that you lose a little bit of that, hey, I'm actually I'm actually driving revenue directly for the company. So everything else is slightly less easy to attach value to. It's not to say that it's not valuable. It's just harder to do. And then when you add it to the fact that esports is still relatively mature and a lot of these companies aren't well funded, that makes it even harder. So a few other things that you can do that drive value: photography, videography, and editing, both photo, graphics, and video. Esports is digital media and entertainment. So really, every person in an esports organization, outside of the players, but really even them, should have a thorough understanding of digital media. So every social media channel, how to edit videos, how to edit photos, what gets engagement, all of those things. Like, you need to be an expert in those things. That doesn't mean that you're going to be the social media manager. But like I said, esports is all digital media and entertainment. So like, you are going to use those skills no matter what role you are in, whether you're actually executing them yourself or it's just mandatory that you have a strong understanding. So let me just give you some specific examples of things that I would do if I wanted to get involved in esports. So excuse me if I wasn't already, but I wanted to, and I was younger and trying to figure it out. So if I had a camera, one thing that I would 100% do is I would go to the nearest available LAN event that has multiple teams there, and I would go and I would take some banger photos. I'd take the best photos I could possibly take. I'd buy my pass. I wouldn't be with a team. I'd just go on my own dime, and I'd go and do that. Then what I would do is I would go and upload all of those photos with a nice watermark over them so they can't be taken from you. I would upload them to my website, and then I would send that website out to every team that was at the event, and then charge those teams a few bucks for each picture. Maybe do package deals, 25, 50, 100 bucks, whatever you can figure out for pricing. That is what I would do there. And then, assuming your work is good, over time, what would happen is you'd start to pick up contracts for actual teams. So that is one way that you can get involved, and that's kind of on the creative side with photography and videography. If you are wanting to get involved on management side as a GM, as anything else, it's not impossible. It's just going back to the value equation, that it's going to be very, very, very difficult for you to come in cold turkey with no connection, and try to get an actual job. So really what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to start to get experience any way possible. It's probably going to mean you're going to have to maybe do a little bit of pro bono work, but that's okay. Shoot, I've been doing a lot of pro bono work in esports. So it's just the way it goes. It's a young industry. So anyway, I hope you found this video helpful. I'll try to do another one. If you have any additional questions, drop them below. Thanks.